Hi, and welcome to Sip Sip Hooray. I'm Mary Babbitt.
I'm Mary Orlin. We're so glad you've joined us for another episode of our podcast.
Today we're headed on another road trip. We're going to the Napa Valley to meet one of the Napa Valley old family wineries, well-known, well-loved. They're Shafer Vineyards.
Yes, and Shafer is in Napa itself on the Silverado Trail in the famous Stag's Leap district. And John Shafer started the winery more than 40 years ago. He brought his family out from Chicago on quite the adventure to go plant grapes, and the stories they have are just tremendous. And so we're meeting his son Doug today. Doug and his father were quite the team together, and we're going to get to know Doug a little bit better today.
That's right. Among other things, Doug is now running the winery, and he also has his own podcast, which is pretty cool. It's called The Taste with Doug Shafer. So we're excited to introduce Doug Shafer to you.
So Doug Shafer is here. Actually, Mary B and I are here at Shafer Vineyards with Doug Shafer. And Doug, welcome to Sip Sip Hooray.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for coming up and making it easy for me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's nice to be up here. It's a great spot.
Yeah, we're lucky to be up here on such a beautiful spring day. The vines look great. We're looking outside at the vineyards on the hill, the famous Hillside Select.
Right there.
And yeah, so it's kind of fun to be in the middle of it all.
It's a great spot, Doug.
Yeah. We're very lucky. Mm-hmm. It's a great spot.
So your father, John, moved the family from Chicago. Mm-hmm. You were 17.
Right.
How did your dad find such a great place?
Yeah, and he was not in the wine business in Chicago. What drove him out here to do this?
Okay. You guys asked. You're getting the story. So Chicago, he worked for a book publishing company for 22 years. Scott Forsman was the name of the company. Sally, Dick, and Jane. Remember the Readers?
Of course I do. Yeah.
He was with them for 22 years. He was in long-range planning. So his job was to read the tea leaves. What's the coming trend? What's the new thing? At the time, this is the late 60s, early 70s, technology was coming on. Videotape, remember the old big reel-to-reel videotapes, which has morphed into our phones. And he also, that was a hot topic, and he went to his bosses and said, we need to do this. And they said, no, we'll stick with the workbook and the reader. So he was very frustrated with that. Meanwhile, he would come across all sorts of crazy stuff that was becoming trends. And one was the pending wine boom in California. This guy was not a wine drinker, beer and bourbon, Chicago boy. And he said, I got to check this out. So he came out here. Ended up in Paso Robles. He told me this about a year ago. He said some guy was talking about wine grapes. The guy said, "Oh, you want wine grapes? You should go up to Napa." And he said, "Where's Napa?"
Wow.
So he comes up here, gets a realtor. They look around at different properties. Spotswood was on the market. We could have ended up there, but he had some harebrained idea about hillsides because he'd read some book about Italian winemaking.
Nice.
The best wines are on the hills. I think it's because vines grow on the hills and save your good soil for your, tomatoes and corn. And but at that time, no one planted hillside grapes because it cost twice as much to plant it, and you got half the crop, and you get paid by the tons. So it didn't make sense to plant on the hillsides. And they looked around for 2 days, couldn't find anything, and the guy said, hey, let's go down and look at that Phillips place down in Stag's Leap. So we pulled in here, been on the market for 5 years, and he bought it. It was 30 acres of 60-year-old Italian varietals, mix and match.
Okay.
And was going to be an absentee owner for 10 years, then move us out and be a gentleman farmer. And within a year and a half, he got so frustrated with the Chicago thing and the corporate scene, he said, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So at age 17, I'm having dinner in October, and he says, we're moving to Napa.
That's
I go,
incredible.
where's that?
Yeah.
And out we came. But he calls it his dumb luck story.
Wow.
He just fell into it. And
But he was gutsy.
well, he was gutsy. He was, gutsy / crazy. All his neighbors thought he was crazy. But at the same time, ironically, Bernard Portet, Clos du Val, just a mile away, had been on a 2-year expedition from the owner of Clos du Val. He said, go around the world and find the best place to grow Cabernet that's like Bordeaux. And Bernard had been 2 years traveling around the world, and it ended up just 2 miles down the road.
Wow.
Right here. So Bernard did the research and did it right. Dad just got lucky.
Lucky. Did you know about Bernard before you found this place?
Did I know about what?
Did your dad know about Bernard Porte before this
No,
place?
we met him later.
okay.
Later on, they compared notes.
Wow. And your dad recently passed away, and we're sorry about that.
It's okay.
What a wonderful long life.
He had a great long life, 94 years, and did so much. So it was a joyous life.
How was it working together with your dad for so long?
It was easy. I remember getting questions like that from people. What's it like? Is he in your way? He was fabulous. He let go. He let me. I became president back in '95. When he was 20 years. No, more than that probably. Not 75. I'm sorry, 95. 75. I was still in high school. 20 years ago, I became president. He stepped away. He was still involved. He was still there. A lot of times, but we were kind of tracked together on things. Issues would come up, and we didn't purposely say, let's percolate on it. It just kind of happened, and all of a sudden he'd come into my office and say, hey, I've been thinking about this. I said, yeah, me too, and I think we should do that. He goes, yeah, me too. That was nice. 95% of the time. It was like we'd kind of come to the same conclusion separately.
Isn't that interesting?
Which was really cool. And the few times, very few, like we were disagreed on anything, it wasn't like a big disagreement, knockdown fight. It was like, well, really, you think that? Yeah, I think that. Well, let's plant 3 acres of that and not 20 acres of it and see how it works.
Yeah.
That type of thing. It was always very amicable.
Copacetic.
There was never any, gee, I wish you'd get out of my way. Never.
That's great.
Heard stories and read articles about family business, and boy, we didn't have that at all.
It can be tricky.
Yeah.
How old were you when you knew you wanted to get into the family business?
Well, I was 17. We moved out, finished high school, went to UC Davis, got the degrees in grapes and wine.
So then you already knew going into college.
Yeah, but see, when I went into college, there was no Shafer Vineyards. He was just growing grapes. This in the mid '70s. Okay. His first wine didn't come out until '78. So I'm going to college in '75. 74, 75.
Was that a young program there at Davis?
No, I've been there for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good program. And so there was no Shafer Vineyards. And I always wanted to teach school, so after I got my degree in grapes and wine, I got my teacher credential. I went to Tucson, Arizona, taught junior high school for 2 years. A lot of people don't know that.
No,
that was fun.
Best
training for a winemaker dinner you could ever have is teaching junior high school.
Seriously?
And you can handle any crowd anytime. And after a couple of years, I thought that's it. I'm teaching. I can't change the world. I was pretty idealistic, and so I thought I'd come back to the wine biz. And I was home at Christmas and said, Dad, I'm thinking about coming back to grapes and wine. And he at this point, and now he had started a winery, and he had a winemaker. And he said to me, quote, well, I don't have a job for you. And I, without missing a beat, honestly answered. I said, well, I don't want to work for you anyway. He said, fine. So I came back and got a cellar job at a little place called Lake Spring for 2 or 3 years.
Good for you.
Yeah. No, I wasn't interested at all.
That's probably what saved the whole family, relationship with the way it worked, because you learned somewhere else.
Oh yeah, for sure. And interestingly enough, it's about 2 or 3 years later, his winemaker had some issues. He had to let him go. And a lot of people don't know this story. He came to me and said, why don't you come on over and be a winemaker at Shafer? And I said, no. And he looked at me like, you're kidding. I said, no. He goes, why? And I said, quite honestly, I know enough to know I don't know how to do that yet.
Oh.
And I didn't.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And he twisted my arm. So he talked me into coming into this business. I was not knocking on the door. I was reluctant because I knew I didn't have the experience.
Right.
But he talked me into it. We had a consultant.
He was willing to take that chance.
But guess what?
Yeah.
I was right.
Yeah.
I was right.
You weren't ready?
I wasn't ready. I walked into a mess. My predecessor had left. We cleaned that up. And then Elias got on board. And a couple of years later, I made my own mess and fixed it and figured it out and learned a lot.
Yeah.
So I learned on the job, but unfortunately I learned on this family business.
Yeah.
I didn't do it somewhere else.
How long was it before you felt that you had the winemaking dialed in and you were confident with it?
Good question. It was right around 1990. So I started here in 83. It took 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in looking back, at the time I was like, oh yeah, I've got this done. Elias and I've got this done. We're okay. But it's like, no. And looking back, it took 6 or 7 years.
Well, so much can happen.
You only
too.
get you only get one shot a year.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to wait another.
You're not like a chef.
Yeah,
I love the chefs out there. No knock, but if you mess up the sauce, you can fix it tomorrow night.
Yeah, or it's not like making beer. You can just brew another batch.
Batch. I mean, you only get a chance to pick them one time.
Yeah. And you have to wait a whole year.
Yeah, I mean, truly. So it's when you say it took 6 or 7 years, it makes sense to me.
Well, and you think of what just even weather-wise, what happens in a year to a vineyard, and there's so many unpredictables. So I can see why it's not an easy thing. And you were lucky and smart to bring on Elias. He has been a real treasure for you guys.
Yeah, so I started here in 83, hired him in 84.
So this is Elias Fernandez.
Elias Fernandez, thank you, our winemaker. Winemaker / best friend. And hired him in 84 right out of Davis because he had better grades than I did. So that's actually why I hired him.
So you wanted somebody smarter than you.
Smarter guy. That's true. And he was assistant winemaker for about 8 or 9 years and took over winemaking in, when was that? 85? No, 95. Because he started in 84 and then 94, 95 he took over as winemaker and still is today. But we learned, so he was green as can be when he started. I had only been here a year. So we learned together.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like winemaker, assistant winemaker, like, number one, number two. It's like, we're in this together. Along with Dad, how are we going to do this? So.
And how did you guys decide the kind of winery you want to be? Like, you're not open on the weekends. You're by appointment.
You're still family owned.
Yeah,
Well, we're family owned, fortunately, with that, which is great. You have to remember when we started and got our use permit and started this business, it was 35 years ago. There was only 6 states you could ship to direct mail.
Wow.
6 or 7, that was it. So direct mail was not an option for selling your wine. You had to do the 3-tier distributor system. So that's how we formed the business. That's how we built the business. That's how the business has become successful with that recipe or that approach, and it's working. We're profitable. People get vacation time and good health plans, and people get raises every year, and it's working with that on that model, the original model. Use permit. We're only allowed, I think, 100 people a week.
Oh wow!
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're okay with that.
Well,
now, am I missing out on direct mail? But I've got wonderful partners around the world, whether they're distributors in this country or importers in other countries. They're our partners. They've helped build our brand. They sell our wine. They make money on it. We make money when we sell to them. So it's working. The wines, the brand gets distributed in the marketplace. That's good for business.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it.
Well, and along the way, I mean, you guys have, the Shafer name is so well respected as, the kind of business people you are, and it's just, you haven't burned any bridges to make your own success, it seems, right?
Well, I probably burned a few, but we've been very fortunate. We try to be pretty straight up and honest and straightforward.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to be tough too. I mean, business is business.
Well, and during the whole cult Cabernet phenomenon,
right?
Did you ever feel we should raise our prices? Because your prices for Napa Cabs and for what you all make and for Hillside Select, they're still, lower than some of your neighbors.
Yeah, there was never, it was basically, let's be smart about this. Let's, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. We can raise prices. We raise them slowly, and during that heyday in the 90s when it was crazy. Things were going from Hillside went from 64 to 75 to these are retail prices, to 86 to 93, and boom, boom, boom. That's not happening anymore. But we get nice feedback from our customers. They say, "Gee, your wine's a deal." I said, "It's a deal. It's $290 for Hillside." They said, "No, Doug. For what it is, it's worth it. It's a great." So that's nice feedback.
Sure,
we've got loyal customers.
Yeah, and what's the key to keeping those loyal customers? There's so much competition.
Yeah,
now.
we were talking about that as we were driving over here. There's so many different wineries. How do you
that's the $64 question. I don't know the answer.
Well, you're doing something right.
Well, but it's you got to stay on it. Communicate with them. Have great hospitality when they visit. Hopefully have a seamless service when they order the wine. I mean, we pride ourselves on that. We go crazy when an order gets messed up for somebody because it's inconvenient. Try to get the next generation, the younger folks on board. That's a challenge. Doing different things, what we do with and talking about sustainable ag and solar power and recycling our water, doing the podcast.
Well, that's it. We wanted to talk to you about one of the things you're doing is a podcast of your own.
We are.
How are you liking that? It's wonderful, by the way.
And
Thank you.
call it The Taste with Doug Shafer.
The Taste with Doug Shafer. We're still doing it because I'm enjoying it.
Well, you're coming up on your 1-year anniversary.
Just passed our 1 year.
Just passed it.
In April.
Okay.
We had Elias on as the 1 year.
I know. We've both listened. It was a really great episode.
But it's been fun. I didn't, 15 months ago, I didn't know what a podcast was.
Right.
A good Andy here works with me, guides me. It was his idea, and we just jumped in, and it was a lot of fun. I'm going to keep doing it because I find out things about people I've known for years. I find out things about their stories and families and history, which are fascinating.
Well, you even found out some things about Elias you didn't know.
That's true. His grandparents and all that. It was good.
How do you decide who's going to be a guest?
Whoever will come on in.
How much wine do you have to bribe them with?
It's been pretty easy so far, but it's good friends and
growing up here, so many people.
Yeah, we know a lot of people. The challenge is going to be reaching out and getting some folks who I don't know that well. See if hopefully they'll be open to it, and. But it's fun because, we took the whole program to New York during the wine experience.
Okay.
Danny Meyer, who's a long-term family friend.
Okay.
And wonderful guy.
Nice.
And then 3 or 4 winemakers from Italy and Europe who were over for wine experience, who I've met before.
Yeah.
They were great.
Oh, terrific. Nice.
There's great stories out there, and I think, it's fun it's a nice format to chat with people.
Right.
And,
to find it.
Right, because you can go a lot more in depth than we used to be able to go on the TV show that we did.
That's right. You guys, it's like the TV show world is just like 10 seconds.
3 minutes was a long story, right?
Wow.
And that was,
that's tough.
But so you can't really get into the nuances or the stories that a couple of things you said. Most people don't know this story. We'd never have time to get into that on TV. It'd be like, cut, it's too long.
Wow.
Attention spans are too short. But I was going to ask you, what type of prep work do you do?
I do a fair amount. Well, I don't, but Andy does, which is great, and that helps a lot because I can kind of look at that beforehand and kind of think about how I might want to work it.
It's like making a little map, right?
But the thing I want to do better at, if you will, is to, when I hear something just a little bit off the wall, get out of my mode of how I want to run the thing and just say when he's, like when Cindy Paulson said her dad owned a potato chip factory in Minneapolis, it was like, huh?
Yeah.
But that was a good one. So I was like, wow, what's that all about? Tell me that. And now we've got 6-7 minutes of a conversation about a potato chip factory. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned this earlier, but you have a really good voice, and it's fun to listen to your podcast because you come across so warm and engaging.
Well, thank you.
It's nice.
Appreciate that.
We were thinking, Mary and I, because you've been here since you were 17 years old, and we know that you've seen a lot a major morph in the Napa Valley. Where do you see it? You came into your family business. Are any of your kids going to be in the family business? Do you see that ahead? Are they in there? Are they working for Shafer now?
I've got 5 kids, and there's another, but there's 12 or 13 kids in that generation, nieces and nephews.
How many are interested in working with you guys?
Everyone's doing their own thing, which is great.
Yeah, it is.
Which my siblings and I have always encouraged our kids to follow their own passions and dreams. And at this point, no one said, "Hey, I want to check out the wine thing."
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Sure. Yeah. So I started to ask, looking into a crystal ball, if you will, 20 years down there, what does Napa Valley look like 20 years from now, do you think?
I don't think it's going to look too different. I really don't. And when we moved out here in 73, they had just passed the Ag Preserve back in 68, I think it was, which was made minimum parcel size 40 acres. And there is a very strong feeling here, the people that live here and the people that work here, to protect this valley. I think the vast majority in this county live and work here. If you really thought about it, you would view this as a national treasure. And it's almost like I wish we could kind of make some national act to preserve it. The good news is there is a tremendous amount of concern about that and not overtaxing this beautiful place. And the fact that the wine business is so successful is really important, because that helps keep the vineyard and grapevines. If the wine business wasn't, just like the Santa Clara Valley, San Jose, some of the best farmland in the world, and it's all
paved over.
Right, exactly.
So the fact that the end product, the end agricultural product, wine, is sustainable and can support that, will keep this place in vines. And there's pressures and there's battles all the time on the local level with politically and zoning and keeping things agriculture and not. It's a constant battle, but everyone here is pretty vigilant about that and keeping an eye on it. So I don't think it'll be that much different. Yeah, I really don't.
Good.
Yeah.
It should be a shame to, it's such a beautiful place to come visit. Most of us don't get to live here, but it's such a there's so many beautiful vistas, and it's just a gorgeous spot.
I mean, when we moved here in 73, what was that, 40 or 50 years ago? I mean, it's different than then, but not that much different as far as vineyard. But I mean, back then there were no hotels, no fancy restaurants, none of that. So we've got that now. We've got more traffic now, but it seems like they can't encroach onto the ag areas much more than they already had. So.
Yeah.
How close were you guys to the fire?
Which one? There was one in 81. It came right down through here.
Is that right? I was not thinking of that one. I was thinking one a couple years ago.
One in 2014. 17, yeah. 2014.
We were right here. It came right down to the winery and to my dad's house. But we had a fire crew in and cut paths. And it burned down here. By the time it got down here, it was the next day. The wind had stopped blowing. So it was serious, but it wasn't that firestorm that happened the night before.
Yeah, but it's still scary.
It was it's scary stuff. Yeah, but we're doing okay.
Yeah. I want to ask about the family dogs.
The dogs?
Yes.
Well, going back when we moved out from Chicago, we had a black lab named Dingo, who Dad, Brad, and Brad was in 8th grade. I was in high school. My brother Brad and Dad. We drove out in the Country Squire station wagon.
Oh, these were good.
Through the snow, Kansas and Wyoming, and drove out. And Dingo went with us, so we'd sneak Dingo into motels every night. That was the fun time with Dingo. But he was the first. There's been numerous since, and we're down to one right now. Cody, the golden retriever, who's tough to keep track of.
When we got here, Cody was running around.
He took off.
Being a little bad boy.
But no, we've always Dad's always had a dog. I've always had a dog, so it's nice.
And he had a favorite dog.
He had Tucker. That was his golden lab, yellow lab, lived to be about 14 or 15.
When you visit Shafer, there's a lovely bronze statue of Tucker to greet you.
Yes.
I'm sure it's good luck if you pat its head.
It's Pat's head. Dad sculpted that. So Dad took up sculpting.
He sculpted that?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to say.
I didn't know that.
No, when he was this is a Renaissance guy, I think he took up riding a motorcycle when he was about 68 or 70. So all of a sudden he's riding a BMW motorcycle around.
Good for him.
And he gave that up around 75 because he told me because he was embarrassed because if it fell over, he wasn't strong enough to pick it up. And then he took up sculpting. Mm-hmm. So he sculpted for sculpted for about 20 years.
What else did he do?
That's incredible.
He loved opera, loved art, was a golfer in his day, big family golf games back in the old days. But he was business minded. Well, the other thing he did was incredible philanthropy. He single-handedly, with a few other people, raised $9 or $10 million to build this clinical lay facility in Napa, which provides health care for low-income folks.
Sure, that's terrific.
And basically, he is probably best known in this valley for what he's done philanthropically.
That's really cool.
That really is great.
I mean, he was, because as he passed the winery off to me, he'd still be at his desk every day, but he wasn't working on Shafer stuff. He was raising money for this. He was on this board or that board and getting them shaped up. And he was a mad dog.
Good man.
He was really, really effective.
No, that's awesome.
How about you? Are you a Renaissance guy?
No, because I'm around a business. See, that's what I was thinking about him the other day, because it's like, wow, he did all this great stuff, but he started when he was like 75.
Yeah, he had all the time.
When he had kind of passed the business off to me, and so for the last 20 years, that's what he was doing. And I thought, well, what was he doing before that? From 50-ish when we moved out here to 75. Well, he was full bore
working
Shafer.
Tail off,
And on a plane and off a plane, which is what I do. So, the whole issue of hobbies is like
someday.
And I ride a bike. I ride a road bike, which is great.
Yeah.
Stay in shape. And I love my kids. I've got a slew of kids and grandkids now, and it's fun to do stuff with them and try to make that work.
You still have one who's not even in high school. You're headed into high school. The young one still.
14.
14.
She'll be in high school next year.
Yeah.
How much are you traveling now?
I still travel 8, 10, 12 weeks a year.
And what are you doing primarily on those trips?
I do it all. You're meeting with distributors, sales meetings, lunches with the managers, talking numbers, trade lunches, winemaker dinners, in-store tastings, in a car, calling on accounts, account to account. I mean, it's the whole deal.
Yeah, so you're the face of the winery now.
Well,
Sort of.
I don't know about
And the voice of the winery.
Well, I like the voice.
Yeah, the voice, okay. Doug Shafer, the voice of Shafer.
That's a good one.
So you brought some wines for us to taste today.
Sure.
Should we go for it?
Let's go for it.
One of them is a new project of yours with you and Elias, yeah?
Right. That's the 84 brand.
84. Mm-hmm. What should we start with? We have two here.
I'd go start with. Well, let's start with TD9.
Okay, so that's on the
left. So TD9 is basically a red blend. It's a Merlot-based red blend. We just started making it a couple years ago. Because we'd made Merlot forever, loved it. And Elias at one point had a throwaway line one time talking about Merlot. He said, if I didn't have to call it Merlot, in other words, 75% Merlot, if I didn't have to call it Merlot, I could make a better wine. And it was the middle of harvest, and he was grumpy and all the things, so I let that lie. And a few weeks later, I said, remember what you said? He said, yeah. I said, well, what? Show me. He goes, sure, no problem. So he goes off to the cellar, the lab, calls me an hour, and says, come on over. Get 2 glasses for him, 2 for me, blind tasting. We smell, taste. I go, left glass, way better. He goes, yeah, me too. And we never agree when we blend.
Oh, you don't?
Really?
We don't. And we were in total agreement. So we pulled the tags off, and that the left glass was the blend.
Wow.
And the right was what the Merlot would have been.
Okay.
So we said, let's do it.
It's good.
So we came up with a Merlot-based red blend called TD9. This one's about 58%. This is the 16 version. 58% Merlot, 26 Cab, 16 Malbec. So taking Merlot and making better wine with it. And the name honors my dad's adventuresome spirit in moving us out from Chicago. Because in 73, he went from riding commuter trains in Chicago to driving a TD9 tractor. So we found an old International Harvester tractor. The model number was TD9.
He had no tractor experience before.
Oh, no, he didn't.
There's no tractor driving school.
Right.
Guessing.
So we've had this out for a couple of years, and it's doing really well.
This is really delicious.
It's really nice. Yeah, it's a nice blend. Love it.
It's very drinkable now.
Good. It should be, because we're selling it.
I love it.
So that's been fun.
Yeah, it's got some beautiful aromas.
Yeah.
A little bit of a floral nose to me too.
The Malbec pops that nose.
Oh, sure.
Really nice.
And it's got that silky feel too, which I love. It's nice.
Good.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
So I want to go back to you and Elias never agree on blending. Tell me about that. How's
we
that
don't.
work out?
Yeah, then how do you settle up?
Yeah.
How do you figure it out?
We figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, what do you think? I don't know. Let's look at it tomorrow. Let's do it again. We rarely strongly disagree. But it's just like, well, I like that nose better. Well, I like the nose better on the other one. It's like, okay, well, you know, let's try. Maybe I'll try 5% more of this or that particular lot or something like that. But it's never.
You never come to an impasse.
No, it's never like that.
Yeah.
Just more. It's just more like, you know, what do you like? What do you don't like? And I mean, even when we go out, you know, have lunch or dinner and have a wine, it's like, you know, hey, I'm loving this. I'm not wild about it. It's just like,
Part of the process, right?
yeah.
Figuring it out. Yeah. And maybe
Well,
the
wine-
mixture of your two opinions is where where you want to be.
Wine, subjective. It's like art.
is.
It's
So
like, you
it's-
know, what you like, what I like, we're not going to like the same things. And that's actually kind of refreshing.
Right.
And it's like refreshing to hear why you don't like it or do like it or care for this style. That's fun.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep. And it's probably good that you don't always agree because, you probably push each other a little bit.
Right. Oh, well, definitely.
Yeah. All right. This next one is your.
Well, this is a project. This is a project called 84. A few years ago, Elias and I, you know, we've been making Chardonnay, Cabernet, Merlot for a long time. And, you know, when we go out to dinner or lunch, it's like we drink other wines.
Yeah.
It's like, it's usually the conversation like, man, this is really good. I want to make that. I want to make that. I want to make this flavor. So we started a little project together a few years ago. And it's called 84. That's the brand. It's the year we started working together.
Oh, nice.
If you want to see something funny, we have a website, 84 Wines. There's pictures of the two of us in 1984.
All right, everybody go check it out.
It's pretty funny. So we've got an Albarino, and this is a Gamay Noir, which is the first Gamay Noir we've made. We actually planted the vineyard. We planted 3 acres of Gamay Noir on our Red Shoulder Ranch in Carneros, where we grow Chardonnay for Shafer.
And we should explain that Gamay is the grape you might know as Beaujolais.
It's the Beaujolais grape, and the Beaujolais region in France,
Right.
which, if you take, it's the Gamay Noir is the major grape there.
Right.
But it's not really big here.
No. In fact, we have 3 acres, and I think that's the biggest planting in Napa County. I think there's maybe a half acre or two somewhere else. Amy's been working on that one.
Wow.
But, you know, everybody says, why'd you do it? I said, well, we had a few Gamay Noirs from Oregon. We liked them. You know, let's try that.
Yeah.
Fun.
Our research department's kind of slim. small research department.
Well, hey, but you go for it and it works,
that's
yeah?
fun.
So with 3 acres, how many bottles does that produce?
Oh, what did we make?
It's a small production, yes.
This was a partial crop. We made about 80 cases, I think. So, I mean, long term, let's see, 3, 10. Oh, it might be 200-300 cases a year or something like that. So it's fun.
And do you like the results you got from it?
Yeah, I loved it because at one point it's like, well, everybody always asks us about Pinot Noir. When are you guys going to make Pinot Noir? I look at them and say, really, seriously? Shafer's going to make Pinot? Well, they go, yeah, you're right, because everybody else does it. And they've done really well. And so we like the Gamay Noir because it's similar in just kind of body and weight and feel, but just kind of a different animal.
I think it's beautiful. I really like it.
I really like it. It's, lighter body and just...
So
Yeah, congratulations. That's really fun.
This is really delicious.
So,
and Gamay or Beaujolais gets a bad rap from Beaujolais Nouveau,
Right.
but you open this and introduce someone to it.
and there's some of the cru Beaujolais are just gorgeous.
Yes, I agree.
And the grapes are happy in Carneros.
They're doing okay.
Yeah, good. Because you never know, like, is there a reason people didn't plant it here? Or is it, that's the challenge too. Because for example, Napa Valley, I mean, there's
lots of different varietals, but the majority is Cabernet, where Cabernet can, do well here. And I think some people are not upset, but the reality is if you're a grower, what are you going to plant? You're going to plant Zinfandel or Merlot or Cabernet. Well, in Napa, with great prices, you're planting Cabernet. So it's interesting to see, but I get it. But Napa Cab is really good. We're in a really sweet spot for Cabernet.
Yeah.
It's not, I call it the Goldilocks thing. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. So that's what we do.
Cool. So let's ask a few fun rapid fire questions.
All right, yeah.
We'd like to do this. Kind of.
Have a sip of wine before this.
Yeah, exactly.
We're about to let loose. All right, so not on wine, but okay. Favorite band?
Tom Petty.
Oh, I love Tom Petty.
I don't know if that's a band, but Heartbreakers.
Yeah, Heartbreakers.
Heartbreak, yeah.
You're
R.I.P.
doing this rapid fire.
I'm sorry. Well, you started with Tom Petty,
Well,
so
Tom Petty.
I had to take a moment.
Favorite Tom Petty song?
The Apartment song.
Okay.
Listen to it.
I will. I don't know that one. Do you know it?
It's called The Apartment song.
No, I don't know it. Here I'm like
You'll love it.
claiming to be a Tom Petty fan. All right, cool.
Check that one out.
Cool.
Our driving home music.
There you go. TV show you're into now?
Well, it just stopped last night.
Are you Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
No, I'm just like trying to deal with it. I'm into now, all about Eve.
Ah. Okay.
Okay, I don't
I
know
don't know
that
that.
one yet.
What network is that on?
That was on Hulu. That's with, is it Sandra Oh?
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. A little gory, but it's
okay.
good. It's a good storyline.
All right. Favorite weekend hang around activity? Is it sitting in the backyard? Is it a
Favorite
bike ride?
weekend hang around activity.
You're going to kill a Saturday. What are you going to do?
Sitting outside with a bottle of good rosé.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Nice.
What type of rosé do you like?
Anything that's good.
There's a lot of bad stuff out
that's
there.
True.
And do you cook?
No,
Favorite food?
because my wife is a
Your wife.
really, really
Is
good
she?
cook, so I don't even try.
What's your favorite dish of hers?
Oh man, there's so many.
Oh, that's good.
There's so many. I don't. She just experiments and plays and does all sorts of wild, good, healthy stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, the go-to is just grilled salmon with some fresh corn and quinoa and all that good stuff.
Healthy.
Good.
Yeah, it's all healthy.
All right. What would your kids say? Are you like a goofy dad joke kind of guy, or are you, your kids describing you? How do they say? What do they say about you?
Goofy.
Goofy. Oh, what's better, dad or grandpa?
Oh, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to be called grandpa, or do you have a different name for yourself?
We're working on that. Not sure yet.
Oh, what are the options?
Not sure yet.
Okay. Cool. I had a question that just popped out of my mind.
If you're not drinking wine,
Yes.
are you a beer guy, cocktail?
Cocktail. Martini.
Martini. Nice.
Favorite kind of Napa Valley place you go to either for eating or whatever that most people don't know about, the locals
off the radar. Yeah.
That's tough because I go to a tourist place.
What is that?
I go to Mustard's.
Okay.
That's my spot.
Yeah.
I never see anybody local in there. It's all tourists. There's a few, but that's kind of my go-to place because I know them all. They're wonderful. The hidden ones, man, I don't know. 'Cause I don't get out. I don't go out. I work and go home and deal with kids.
You're working too much.
Yeah.
Did you ever coach anything with your kids?
Oh yeah, I coach soccer, basketball.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
What was the most recent family vacation you've had?
Where'd we go? I don't even know. Oh, we went skiing at Christmas. Where'd we go? Went to Colorado. That was fun.
Where in Colorado?
Vail.
Nice.
Yeah, we hadn't skied in a while. I hadn't skied because I had both knees replaced 2 years ago.
Oh, did you,
Yeah,
man?
so it was the first time I skied in About 25 years without pain. It was just so fun.
Oh, good.
So,
That's great.
That's great.
That's really great. If you weren't running a winery, what would you be doing?
I have no idea.
Really?
I'd be doing voiceovers. No, I'm just kidding.
A new career.
I was telling Doug, I think he should do
If I
it.
wasn't running a winery, I really have no idea. I've been doing this a long time.
You mentioned that teaching was, you did some teaching years ago. Is that still an interest?
Yeah, I always would be. I always enjoyed doing that. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. I could do that again.
Favorite part about living in Napa Valley that has nothing to do with wine?
Nothing to do with wine. Oh, the beauty. It's beautiful.
It's pretty spectacular here. So no other place you'd rather live?
No. This is great.
I agree. I think we should leave it there.
I think so too. What better way to be happy with what you're doing, where you're living, and everything. So it's been so great talking to you.
Oh, thanks
Doug,
again.
we
I
sure
enjoyed it.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
sharing. Thanks for sharing your stories. And your
Anytime.
wine.
And the wine was delicious. And continued success to you. You guys have such a great story to tell, and you've been so many years of success here. So
Right.
all good things to the Shafers.
So, and
Thanks,
I want to
you guys.
encourage our listeners to also listen to Doug's podcast.
Yes.
What's your website?
An advertisement.
Sure, why not? Free plug.
It's our website, ShaferVineyards.com, but the podcast is called The Taste with Doug Shafer.
And
Thank
how
you for
often
that.
do you do it?
It's up and down. It seems like for a while we were getting one out every 2 weeks. It might be every 2 to 3 weeks at this point.
That's good, though.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a lot going on. So.
Yeah.
Maybe better than me and Mare. I know. The slackers. But thank you. And The Taste with Doug Shafer. Definitely worth your time. Lots of fun to listen to.
Well, and with that, we need to do a sip hooray toast.
Sips of parade.
Cheers.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
There's no better feeling than grilling out, and there's no better place than Ace to get the best grill for you and your family. We have the hottest grills from top brands like Big Green Egg, Traeger, and Weber. And since our stores are locally owned and we're committed to helping our neighbors, we'll also assemble and deliver your grill for free. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know their grills. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members through September 7th on grills and accessories $3.99 and up. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.